And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
I do.
Okay. Please
On,
state your name for the record.
Scott Sims.
Hi, Scott. On the application on page 4, on additional notes, you have brick on the right side of awning to match left side of awning, cover with siding. So I guess I'm trying to,
There's a small little section, if you look at the picture of the front elevation of the building, there's a small little section of brick on the right-hand side. It's only like 2 feet wide by 2 feet tall, maybe. That's different than the left-hand side, and we're just going to make it look consistent.
so I have the picture up, so I'm not seeing.
No, don't look at that one.
Okay.
Look at another one without that awning on there.
going.
It's just that little spot of brick that's right here on this
Scott,
right-hand
here's a
side.
good picture right here.
Right above?
Yeah, let me show you.
Put that excellent.
That little spot is just going to get covered up so it matches that side. So the siding will just go right across this. This will stay, this will stay.
We're talking the spot in the top right above
Yes,
the
not
awning?
right here,
Okay.
that's all. Just a
Normally
small
in the
section.
guidelines, we do not allow the
Covering
covering
of the brick.
of brick. I understand what you're trying to do here. You're trying to make it symmetrical, it looks better.
All right.
We can make an exception for that.
I mean, in all honesty too, the awning's gonna cover whatever we be covering anyway. So, I mean, we were just gonna make it look consistent all the way across with the scallops. I mean, potentially you could see it from underneath.
Oh, that's why you can't see it from underneath on the other picture.
Right, yeah. You can
Okay.
see it from the street.
Yeah.
You might see it from underneath, but
Okay.
But everything else will stay the same material, like we're above the windows where it says fixed rock, that's gonna continue to be wood.
all the trim will be AZAC actually, which it should have been in there, but, and replace the wood. And then up above, the windows and everything will become scallop instead of the T111.
The scallop will also be on the first floor above the
No,
windows?
no. All the way up, above where the T111 currently is,
Above
above the
where the
windows.
awning will be.
Yes, and all the
Okay.
way up, the whole
But
front.
on the first floor,
That'll stay
parallel
exactly the
with the
same.
numbers, it'll stay
Yes,
the same.
that all stays the same.
And I saw the proposed sign, we have nothing to do with signs, because there's a separate sign committee.
Oh, we do signs.
Well, we do signs, but we, as far as determining whether it's a correct size, we don't.
Yeah, we do, I think.
Zoning reviews it for size and compliance with the requirements of the sign ordinance. You're reviewing it for how it's going to be fixed and affect the structure of the building.
And that's why I put. That's why in the last sentence of the summary of what they were to be doing, it says, let's see, replace the existing, after replace the existing awning, it says, and replace the existing sign with a new 10 by 6 sign, which will be bolted to the commercial building.
Over the sign, over the scallops.
Basically where the sign currently is, there'll be another sign. We have another.
Yeah.
Do we know what's going on with signs?
Yes.
There'll just be a sign like that up above the awning. Yep.
I'm good with it.
So we don't,
All of these were provided in your packets.
pardon?
All of the
Yeah, I
pictures
see it,
were.
I see it. So we're just looking at the design and how it's affixed to the building.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that was the one I was looking for. and,
Yeah.
That answers one of my questions, too,
Yeah,
I think,
me too.
basically.
Any other questions,
Okay.
Marty?
The,
No, I don't think I have anything. Looking at it, obviously, I think that little 2-foot space up front, just for coherence, I think that makes sense to make that fit. You know, getting rid of the T111 is going to improve everything visually. I don't have any questions.
Okay, and I know we don't have any say over the color, but I was concerned for how the color would blend in with the other shops and everything, which was one of the things we try to look after. And I like the that diner that was a sage green and all was a little bright, but this is kind of muted, and I really like that much better. And I think that's going to be fine blending in, yeah, so, thank you for including that. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
Nope. Is that-
No, nice awning. And,
The only thing that I saw, but they answered that, but it's 8'9" from the sidewalk. The awning
To the bottom of the awning.
is 8'9".
I believe so. Yes, which is the same as Caicos or whatever next door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we approve it as read,
With the exception for the covering of the brick.
which we made the exception.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
With the
we're making an
exception-
exception to
Making the-
allow them.
Right, making the exception to cover the brick because it's not in the guidelines.
Okay.
I
I'll
second.
second, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one up is 619 Mason Avenue. The applicant is Carrie Shackelford, which is Wernick Properties LLC. And they would like to repair and replace the roof, doors, windows, front porch, steps, siding, and trim and masonry. And as you can see, I have tried to list out the best as I could exactly what everything will be doing. And the substantial reconstruction, I did add that in case after this was approved, anybody went by there and saw that the porch was being reconstructed, because that's what is in the application. On page 2, you will see the materials and the existing condition and the proposed accessory structure. And on the bottom of page 2, top of page 3, you'll see all the historic district overlay design guidelines. And again, the applicant is here if you have any questions.
I do.
Okay.
I wondered if you could explain the brick infill part for me, what's going to be done underneath?
Please state your name for the record.
Sure. My name is Kerry Shackelford. If you'll look, you should have in your package a sketch. If you don't, I have one with me. The sketch has red.
Okay.
So the reason for doing that is that when we're doing historic structures like this that are built on piers, we want to retain that pier look. So we want to underpin the building so that we can put plumbing and other stuff under there and keep it from freezing, and also just close off the building from vermin. So we build a little 1 brick thick curtain wall between each one of the piers, and we step those back by about a half a brick so that the pier look is still there.
But you're actually covering the pier, you
No.
won't see it.
No, I'm not covering the pier.
The piers are exposed.
That's right. So if you look here on the drawing, here's the pier
Okay.
existing. So there's a small wall that'll go with one pier to the next pier, but it doesn't cover the pier, it only abuts each one of the piers.
Okay.
So that the pier look is retained.
Okay.
There's nothing really wrong with most of the piers. There's a few on the front porch area, one on a corner that needs repointing, but by and large, the piers are in good condition.
Okay. Thank you.
That's pretty common in town. I had a question on the steps. They are currently concrete,
Right,
and you're replacing them with
Wood.
wood?
right.
And I understand those are not the original steps. Do we have an issue with replacing concrete with wood?
No, because the concrete were not the original steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah, technically speaking, the concrete would have to be I mean, I can put them back if that's the desire, but they'd have to be rebuilt because
And
the
they don't meet
porch,
code.
well, they do, but the porch over the years has sloped dramatically. And so the steps were built to that sloped porch. So if I put the porch back to the level that it should be, I'll have about a 12 or 14-inch rise on that last step. So you could say that it would not meet code in that scenario.
Okay. And
The-
what kind of wood are you going to use on this?
You mean the species of wood?
It's going to be wood, not ace-actor.
Right. Yeah.
But, hi, Carrie. The only thing, there's two things. First of all, I commend you for doing what you're doing as far as renovation goes, because that's really a good job. Second is the fence.
I don't have a fence. There was an existing wire fence that we took down.
Okay, because on the
Let's see.
flat, it says 48-inch wire fence.
Oh, that's existing. I've marked out this one, but I did not catch the one in front. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There is no, that's all gone.
So there won't be a fence. Okay. That's the only question I had.
Okay.
It's great.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be about the fourth miracle restoration, but, it's hard to believe that you could turn something like this into.
Well-
And I'm all for it. Apparently, it's commercial residential, right, Katie?
Right.
So,
Right.
apparently there's a history to it that might have been on the business side. I'm not sure, and probably isn't where we would go, but that's interesting in and of itself, I think, from what I got, and I have to explore that further, but, I don't think I have any other,
We intend to we've done a fair amount of research. There's a lot of interesting connections to this house, to the town, apart from the last owner, of course, everybody seems to know, but there are a lot of other connections to the town that, as many of you may or may not know, there were 8 40-yard dumpsters worth of stuff in that house when I acquired it. And we removed all that, and I had a suspicion that the house was in better condition than it looked, and it's actually in marvelous condition. There's very little structural work that'll have to be done, so. A couple of corrections that I want to get on the record. In the narrative that I have in here, somehow or another I made a typo, and it says 1/1 windows. It's actually 2/2 windows. And the shutters that I have in that same narrative, it says on the south and west walls, but it's the south and east walls.
You're putting wood windows back?
Yes, there's about 50% of those that
Right.
will stay. We've actually already made all the new windows for that building. And we're gonna make operable shutters. We have about 9 shutters that are restorable, and we're gonna make the remaining, which I think is about another 12. And
Operable?
operable, The original hardware is there. It'll be the only operable shutter house in town.
From the inside?
No, well, yeah, you open the window and
Yeah.
pull the shutters closed, yeah. The front porch, you can't see from the roadway, but the windows are floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
And the shutters are 2 pieces, so you can open the upper half of the shutters or open the lower half, or close the lower half. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that in itself,
Yeah.
it's historical. Yeah.
I also appreciated the shell walking path, which would allow the rain to get through to the aquifer, another kind of modern take on the historical, renovation, but that's good too.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's,
Make a motion.
yeah. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the certificate of appropriateness for 615 Mason Avenue.
I second.
You second?
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, pass. Okay, next. 603 Pine Street.
Okay, this is 6D3, 603 Pine Street. Applicant is Joseph and Jill Lemery. And the work to be performed is repair and replace a roof, doors, windows, front porch, steps, siding trim, and masonry. And the big thing here is they would like to replace one of the garage doors with a different type of door. And on one of the side doors, they would like to add a roof over it. And on the garage door, they would like to add what they're calling an eyebrow over the garage door.
That was my question. What they're showing is actually a like pergola type. It's, an eyebrow is an arch. I think they got the wrong terminology.
Okay.
And the door replacement, they're actually going with a
Excuse me.
smaller door. Because isn't the plan to renovate this into living space, the garage?
She did not say that at all. And nor did I did not ask that.
It looks like what's the garage door now will be a smaller door of a regular entrance type door, not a garage door. You don't have, she's not here to answer questions.
The height, you're correct, the height.
Yeah, the height.
Will be a 4-foot difference from the original to what they're proposing. And they are looking for this not to be necessarily dwelling space, but it will be, I think, their intention
Like-
for accessory living space, I think, for office, that sort of use.
Oh, yeah. I see where you're saying that, yeah.
So if you look at page 58, there's the pictures of the existing garage doors. I don't have the dimensions on that. I would assume that is 8 to 10 feet.
It's in the application.
From the example.
Yeah, she filled everything out in the application.
The example on the following page, it looks like they want to put just French doors.
Right.
Yes.
Because it's going to be living.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're changing it from a garage.
So it's going from 9684 to 9680, and then she says pictures are
okay.
included.
Is this a contributing structure?
No, it's not listed.
It's a newer house.
It's a newer house, yes.
So that's the single,
That makes it.
proposed one.
I think their terminology on the eyebrow is incorrect. But they have the pictures to show what
Not
they
this one.
actually are gonna do.
Yeah, maybe in your motion, if you would like to approve it without anyone being here, you could put that you would approve the two examples that they have given in the application.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, and the pictures, they have example of eyebrow over garage. It's
Yeah.
not, it's like.
They gave two examples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
59.
Any other questions?
How can we change the terminology in the paperwork?
What are you willing to approve? as a
Approve,
board?
exactly.
Well,
It's what you're willing to approve.
We can approve it based on the description and the pictures. Doesn't necessarily have to be a eyebrow.
no, because I don't really think that's described as an eyebrow.
It's not an
Anything-
eyebrow, but I'm saying if you look at the pictures and the application as to how they're gonna do it, that indicates what it actually is. They're just using the wrong term.
Exactly, but they put examples of what they wanted.
Okay. See, I don't have all the pictures on my little paper.
This is a pre-application too, so if there's something
It was,
really hung up.
it was within the application. You have to keep on going.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm looking at the example, it's effectively an eyebrow pergola. I think we're just kind of getting hung up on,
Whether it's curved or not.
It's an arch. I looked it up.
okay.
There's no arch. It's straight.
Yeah, and again, this is just an example.
Right.
Yes.
So we can approve the design based on the pictures and the description.
That's correct.
And just say that it's not an eyebrow, but
Negate the
we will
term
approve
or
it.
something. Eyebrow.
The Sicilian straight eyebrow.
Exactly. That might be in now. That might be in now.
Let me,
It's
what
kinda
would you,
hairy.
what would you call it?
I'd call it a fancy eyebrow. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but
I don't even see a picture of it either, honestly, I don't know.
if you look at if you look up eyebrow, there's an arch to it.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no arch. This is just a pergola.
It's a pergola,
Yeah.
pergola style roof,
Yeah. Pergola
in
style.
place of eyebrow term. or something like
Yes,
that.
there you go.
And I don't think because he used the wrong term, we can fault him for that, because he has sufficient description
Yes.
and pictures. So I can I make a motion?
Sure.
I move that we approve the application per described with the pergola roof over the garage versus eyebrow. Do I have to say that, or can I just say,
No, that's good. No, I'll buy that.
um,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, 64, 110 Tazewell, applicant Robin and Scott Sims. Coastal Craftsman Builders, owners George and Sarah Manners. Work to be performed, extensive renovations and of exterior and construct rear screened-in porch. Again, like I did with the other property, I did similar where I tried to block out each part, which is demolish and rebuild, front and side porch. So I tried to mark out each section. And then you go down to front steps and brick pillars, mudroom, and then the increase of that. If you go on to page 2, that's where the replacement comes in. And then they would like to repoint the brick pillars. And then there's an addition in the rear of the screened-in porch. And then, again, if you go down, there's the rear addition to a deck off of the mudroom. And then also there's a driveway, which they would like to do pavers to the house for the front of the house. And then once you get to like the corner of the front of the house, it will be oyster shells from there to the backyard,
All the way to the alley.
all the way to the alley. The materials are as described, and you will see here. Materials go from page 2 to page 3. With this application, I did bring back out the National Park Service diagram parts of a porch, because again, if you approve this application, you will see that they will do an extensive renovation of the porch. So you'll see that I did do the diagram. I was very clear on the existing and the proposed to point that out to you. There's our analysis, and then the Historic District Overlay Design Guidelines is on page 3 and page 4. And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
I have one question on the railing. This is a contributing structure,
Please state
okay?
Scott Sims.
The banisters on the rail? Okay, we just had this problem, and I guess this is are the ones you're proposing square?
Yes, larger square than standard.
Those are spindles.
But that are on there, but he wants to replace them.
I know. I'm with you on, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, they're
Yeah, the
square.
spindles.
But this is a contributing structure. And even though I think the guidelines can be interpreted many ways. I think it's very gray. It's not specific. I would like to see the spindles replaced.
They will be replaced with
Not-
square though,
With spindles.
No, I don't want to see the square.
because there's only 3 sections of railings on the front porch that are even there.
Right.
We need a total of 9, so it's a third of the rails that are even present on the structure.
A third of the rails are turned.
A third of them, that's all that are on there currently right now that are turned. They're all too short, so they wouldn't meet code, so they're all gonna need to be replaced regardless.
Yeah.
And there's only a third of them that are even there, and there's no other house on the street that has anything turned. Not saying that it's right or wrong, but that's what they're proposing.
Yeah,
The
but you
price
see-
on these pickets are insane.
Yeah, I know, but you see, everybody's doing the same thing, and this is a contributing structure.
Right?
So that the contributing structure should not vary from like for like. Even though I get pushback for using that term. But in my humble opinion, I really believe that the turn ones should stay in use. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I know the Northampton Hotel proposed not to use spindles because they had extensive amount of railing and all, and they ended up going ahead with the spindles.
The turn ballast.
Because that
Turn, right.
that is I think, the more historic value, and just, one thing I know, when you come into the Welcome Center, the Bridge Tunnel Welcome Center, what you see is a room full of spindles, small spindles down here, big columns of spindles and all like that. You know, the 1944 movie Meet Me in St. Louis, Vincent Maselli, it's all spindles there. That's just an important part of the history, and replacing like for like seems to dictate that you go with spindles. So that's the only real
Yeah, our
point
argument would
I
be that there's
had
only
was that
30% of the even things that are there, and they're not even the right length, so that you can't
the whole
reuse
front
any
is
of them.
spindles, and the sides just look like maybe the spindles had been destroyed and were replaced with some
Yeah, lattice.
some lattice stuff
Right,
just as a
right.
temporary fixture.
John, is this a true picture you have of the house you're working on?
It's to the right. This is the house. That has square pickets on it too. Like every house on that street has square pickets. That's why. She didn't want to use the standard ones that come with the Intech rail system. So she wanted to pay for the extra, which are $57 a piece for the square ones, to make them jumbo, so they're 2-inch, instead of going with something scrawny and small, which is
you're
what a lot
telling
of
me
these
is
houses
that
have.
These aren't spindles, they're square?
They're square balusters next door as well. Every house on the street has square balusters.
That's the house.
Yeah,
But this house didn't have square banisters.
Spindles.
when it was
Originally, probably not. I'm
that-
not gonna say it did or didn't,
built.
it probably
And
did,
there's
right.
only This house?
30%, only 30% left.
this is the
That's
house he's
what
talking
was originally on
You see,
the house.
Right,
this is my argument. I think. see,
Now they're gonna
this-
have to be higher.
They're all
they're
gonna have to be
spindles, and
remade
I think they should
completely.
stay spindles.
And in all honesty, we'll probably have to turn them out of wood as opposed to trying to go with the composite, because they're about $90 a piece on the pickets then. So you're talking about, $20,000 for rails on a front porch. That's why they didn't want to do it too. It was a whole other thing, is the cost involved with it.
Well, I think that's what everybody does, though. They skirt the cost.
Look, I'm not arguing if you're right or wrong
That's
for
why
what
all
you're
the other
saying,
ones
no.
on the street are square, 'cause
That's
they
why
were
the other ones
Right.
replaced.
don't, they're allowed to go with the square ones, even though it's not like for like.
Well, I'm still asking for square. I mean, obviously, if you say no, I mean, that's up to you guys as the board, so, but that's the proposed, what I'm asking, is
can
what my
approve
homeowners would,
Part of it.
You can prove everything but the railing as far as I'm
Can I
concerned.
just ask a question about the 30%? So the 30% is in the front here?
Yes, so that section, no, but they've already been hacked off, there are already there's 2 build-outs on either side of the column, because
Okay.
they've been chopped off so many times, so it's that one, and there's one on this side, but the back one's not there, down the steps aren't there, that side one's not there,
Okay.
so I'm gonna need a total of, I think, 9 sections of rail.
I understand what you're saying, that they're not there, but that's what was there.
Right, right.
And I think that's what should go back.
But when it goes back, it's actually not gonna look the same either, because it's gonna have to be taller.
So you're saying they gotta be taller to pass code?
Oh, yeah, these are only
These
28
are the
inches
short
tall.
ones.
So the other option is to leave something like this and then put some kind of rail above it to meet code, but that's gonna look horrible.
That would
What's the
also
height
have
of
to
it,
come
what's
to
the height
board.
on the code?
36.
36 inches? Well,
So it probably would come up to about there.
So I'm gonna have to add 8 inches to the heights of all the pickets. So they
So
will
if
look
you-
different. Now, they still could be turned, obviously, I'm not saying you can't do it,
right.
you know.
However, what is the distance between where the concrete cap is on the columns?
Well, that's the other thing. So we gotta come up above those, or we raise those concrete caps. One brick.
One brick would only be 4 inches.
Yeah, I know, but they're coming in under that right now, right? So we had considered putting a brick on top of that and raising those pillars if we take all the poles off, and raising it up a brick or two on the columns as well, to get the rails to actually hit the brick instead of that concrete part.
I really do think that changing the railing style to square would change the appearance of the house.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can
I'm-
look at the other, any questions about anything other than the railing?
Yeah, the windows.
The vestibule.
Okay. Another thing is that the proposal is to put in like a standard driveway. There's never been a driveway there, best I can tell.
Right.
They'd have to, the town would have to change to make a
VDOT.
driveway.
Yeah,
and
VDOT,
And I
yeah.
don't know, it just seems like that's gonna make a major change to this place as well, so I'm concerned about that.
I don't think I did it in my house.
Yeah, there's a house 2 doors down that did the exact same thing. We have a picture of their pavers, their entryway and everything. And that gives them off-street parking for a boat and a trailer.
Yeah,
It gives them the opportunity to be able to put all that in the yard.
yeah.
I mean, as long as the zoning is correct, yes, Katie? Or
But
Tracy?
the guidelines in 9.2, they address the fact that you can't put brick in the front for a driveway.
Brick pavers,
Yeah.
It's been.
they're pavers.
They're not brick.
It was done on the house on Randolph that changed hands
Before or after?
just recently. What
I'm
does it actually say?
Pavers and driveways. Hang on one sec.
And what-
Here's the,
What's the section?
Right there.
Okay, it's 9.2. Says new parking areas should not be placed in front of a building as shown above. Instead, placement at the side and rear to meet the alleyway is more appropriate.
Excuse me, he's not going on the front of the building. If you look on the survey, he's going on the side for the driveway.
Correct. And it's a double lot too, so.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
not in front. He's going on the side like all of the other driveways you see here in town.
Off the alley?
No, on the side and the front.
Yeah, but it's not the corner, okay.
S-
There's room, there's
Yeah,
plenty
yeah,
of.
there's plenty of room, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
From Tazewell Street back
Yeah.
to the alley that runs behind. The pavers are gonna stop at the front of the house.
and that's going to be crushed.
Yeah, the shell all the way back.
Okay, so what you can do, and I want to clarify something because Mr. Tom and I had this conversation in the office, what he is talking about when he says like for like, I believe he is speaking of the words in kind, not like for like, and we do have a definition of that in our guidelines when he is referring to
see,
the spindle. And
We
it
have
does
this
say in
book
our guidelines to try
that
to
the town
stay.
council spent a lot of money to have.
Right.
And we have a definition chapter in this book. And the definitions in the book are not the same as Webster's. But this is what we have to go by, and it says in kind.
Right.
IN-KIND. That supersedes like for like. So it shouldn't say, I should not say like for like.
Because that means something different in our guidelines.
But I think what we're saying here is that
So when-
replacement of spindles versus square
That's,
changes the
it
design of the
does,
house.
and that if you go through the guidelines, it would also say that. So what I was getting back to is if you want to make a motion, you can put that in the motion, that part cannot change, that has to be a condition.
So the section pertaining to this is 5.2, it's page 49 of the guidelines. It says specifically, if portions of handrails or balustrades are missing or damaged, they should be replicated and
In,
replaced
in kind, that's correct.
My question, my concern with that, as Mr. Sims indicated, it's not simply replacing what's there or replicating what's there, because what's there is no longer up to code. So if we're gonna pull everything out, we're gonna completely rebuild this porch, then what dilemma does that present us with?
You can still place within kind of the design. You don't have to change the whole new design, yes. Because he was going to have to be up to code with his new proposal.
And we also can say, that changing the railing changes the design of the house and how it fits
But
into the historic. So Tracy, go ahead, you were saying we could make a motion
With the condition.
with that condition.
We're not there yet.
Do we, I was gonna say, any other,
Once you start,
no, no.
On,
But, so once you finish, I just wanted you to know that so you can move along with the other steps in the renovation.
Okay.
okay, moving right along.
Yes.
Write all that down, will you?
Go ahead.
There was a picture of I think the front door that had 7x2 windows, 2 and 7 down.
Okay.
Is that gonna change?
The front door, they wanted to change the door itself. It is kind of one big unit. We wanted to try to put in like, in kind or whatever. We wanted to put something back, but a little bit different looking front door, because I don't think that front door is original, that oval one.
We've already had an issue recently with glass configuration, and
Yeah, so we might shrink the side lights a little bit to put a 42-inch wide door as opposed to a 36, if that's okay. If it's not, we'll go back with a 36.
but there'll still be the same lineup of panes.
We have a proposed drawing of what they would like to use something similar to this.
But you're talking about removing the vestibule altogether, right?
Oh,
See, that to me significantly changes the character of the house.
No,
Yeah,
I agree with
that-
you.
That
Yeah.
changes it.
I have that vestibule.
So do I. So do I.
And I have
I found one.
Randolph.
Okay.
It's one on
520.
Monroe also.
She has one also, but, yeah.
And everyone that comes by there says they love it.
Right,
And they wish people would have kept them.
right.
But
I
it
think
changes
taking the
it.
vestibule changes the entire appearance of the front of the house.
Right.
And you can see it vividly from the front sidewalk. So that's, write that down, that's another note. Okay, where you have the windows on the second floor, you have 9 windows to be replaced, to be changed to,
If I may, before we move on from the vestibule, is that really a character of this type of house style of colonial revival, and is that cited in our guidelines?
I don't know that it specifically says it, but if you look up that particular style, you will find them.
I just want to make that clear, that would be why you were proposing that should remain, because it's a character of the colonial revival style.
And there are other houses in Cape Charles.
I understand the house, I'm talking about this particular
Right.
house and this style, so I want to make sure when you are getting ready to take your votes, there's.
I don't think Katie, to agree with you, I don't think it is, but I'm not positive.
So you might want to pause a minute just to look at our guidelines, that's all I'm asking you to do.
Yeah,
did a
I
lot of-
looked.
Oh, I did a lot of research on that because, like I said, I had it too. And it is a common design in that particular style house.
You don't see in the guidelines the specific words vestibule or portico, but you do see that it was, if there's some feature that's there that would significantly change the character of the house,
And that will.
and that would.
Okay, again, I'm just ensuring you're including that in your proposed motion coming down the road here. That's all I'm trying to prep you for.
Okay, do you have notes on that one? Okay. The next question I have is your windows. On the, it says on replacement windows, park side, left side of house. 9 windows to replace, to be changed to an egress window.
One, just the top one. It was circled or squared or something?
Correct.
That's gonna make
way up.
egress.
That's the 3rd floor.
They
Yeah,
have to have one in every.
Okay,
yeah,
all right, so that, there's 2 there,
correct.
and you're gonna do one.
One window there that has to meet egress, yeah.
What are you gonna do with the other window?
Well, it'll just be a long window to meet
So
egress
you're replacing 2 windows
with one.
with 1.
Correct.
But those windows are the original windows.
Those are original windows up top, but that is the least obvious spot to do it. You don't want to do it on the front, and I didn't want to do it on the water side either.
Okay, well, the 9 windows to be replaced are below that?
Yes, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows there.
And are
7
all of
windows.
them gonna be egress?
Most of these windows have already been replaced at one time. I won't say most, about half of them. So half of them have been replaced. Half of the ones that are original are destroyed. So there's probably, realistically, in this whole house, there might be 3 or 4 windows that are original that possibly could be salvaged. But most of these windows have already been replaced. So they're mostly vinyl windows
That
anyway.
photograph, is that a recent photograph?
Yes,
So there, you're gonna go back with a 6/1.
correct. We're going back with the same grid pattern with replacement vinyl windows. And we're even talking about taking the ones that have been replaced already out and replacing those as well, so that they're all new windows. Because
But
half,
you-
they
you
don't
note
even,
say 9 windows to be replaced, and then right under that, to be changed to an egress window. All 9?
no, that's a circle.
Just that one on the top, okay. The other 9 are just gonna be the same size?
Yeah, everything's exactly
Does the building code specify that one window on every floor has to be a window of egress?
One
in the bedroom, in living
One
areas,
window in each
bedroom
bedroom.
space.
I didn't realize there was a bedroom up there.
Well, it's gonna be a bedroom. We have an engineer's report that lets us fix the floor, allow living space, and we're turning it into a bedroom.
If it's finished, yes.
If you put beds up there, you can't not call it a bedroom.
There's a bed there?
There will be, in that area.
It can be finished space.
Yeah. Okay, then the next window is, on the next page, it says replace 3 windows replaced, 1 window changed to a door.
Correct. So again, the square ones are the ones that are getting replaced. The one that has a circle around it is going to be replaced with a French door. That'll be inside a screen porch.
The door.
But
That's
there's,
where the addition is gone.
Yes, there's a screen porch on that side, and then the mudroom addition is going to be off of where you see white siding right now.
So that there'll be 2 doors there.
There'll be a door coming off the back where the door currently is, except 8 feet further out. And then there'll be a French door where the window that's circled is, that leads out onto the screen porch.
Which is on the back of the house and will be covered with a porch.
Right.
right.
Gary, I bet he rivaled you on removal. of
Oh, I
property
guarantee
from
we have more
this
dumpsters
house.
coming out of this one.
I know, I've seen that,
And the graffiti, woo!
yeah.
She didn't like Sylvester Stallone apparently,
Well,
so
I live
just
across
letting you
from her
know.
other house, so.
Okay, yeah. If anybody
Okay.
need a gallon paint cans, let me know. We have
So the
about
grid
2,000
pattern
of them.
the grid pattern will stay the same on the new windows,
Correct,
even though they're vinyl,
yes. Yep,
and the grid will be,
on the outside of the glass.
Oh, the muttons,
Yep,
they have to be between the glass now. that is been,
Between the glass or
That
outside?
has been-
I would rather have them inside the glass.
No, they're outside.
That might be me.
outside? No, they can't be between the glass. I'm sorry.
With the guidelines.
On the out, they have to be on the outside.
I'm sorry.
We talked
Right.
about that in the pre-app.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to hop over the windows. Does our guidelines say vinyl for the windows?
Yes,
They're approvable.
yes.
Well, that's why I also put in the, underneath the, sorry, if you'll go to the flow chart, that's why you have the flow chart, for consideration of historic material replacement, but he also said that most of these windows had been replaced already.
Correct.
And we,
How do you
do
actually
a lot
use
of
that
it.
flow chart?
what's,
Never mind.
Well,
Right.
if you
What
go to
page
it,
are
it
you
has
looking at?
questions that you have to.
I
answer.
know. I looked at it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's meant to help you reach decisions and justify.
Well, I
decisions you
understand
want
what it's
be-
meant to do.
take.
It's
what, did-
just ignore that comment.
what flow chart are you?
In the back of the guidelines.
It's in the back.
Oh, in the
guidelines,
guidelines,
it's
not in the
In the
application.
back of the guidelines, it's a flow chart
Right.
to try to help us.
Yes.
However, HELP is spelt many ways.
Okay. Any
I
more
like that.
windows?
I like that.
I just have one more, and I'm sure it's just I'm confusing it in my mind. You're going to have pavers on one side and the shell all the way to the back on the other? Or
No, on the same
everything's on
side,
the
same side, yes.
Okay.
Everything's to the left of the house.
Okay.
And that is on the proposed plat as well.
So it'll start with shell and then turn into paver?
No, they'll start with pavers up
Pavers and then
from the
turn into
Tazewell, yes, and then it'll turn into paver, or shell from there.
And the hope
back.
is you get the whatever from VDOT.
VDOT to give us the curb cut of 12 feet or whatever we have to have for a driveway apron.
Which I would go a little bit wider, because that's what I did, and it's,
Yeah, I know, it's not good, especially when you have a boat and a trailer.
14.
Yeah.
any other questions?
I don't think so.
Not at this point.
Marty?
No, I don't think so.
The ceiling, it says tongue and groove PVC material. That's in the,
The ceiling of the porch, yes.
That's,
okay, so where are we going to do on the rail, the banisters?
I guess the question I had was it fiberglass for the
Columns.
column?
They'll be round, same size, fiberglass.
alternative
Yeah,
material.
those are gonna go on the brick pillars that are
On the
currently
brick
there?
pillars currently where the wooden ones are now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, if they're in great shape, we'll try to save them, but I don't think they are. I don't think much is left of that roof, or the porch is completely gone. The roof's in bad shape. I mean, we were up there bringing lumber in off the roof. It's sketchy, so.
So to answer your question, Herb, and maybe Tracy can help us with wording it, we can approve part of it with the exceptions of the things that
Of
we're
the
talking
banist-
about.
balusters.
Banister and the portico.
You
Okay.
can approve all of it with conditions.
With conditions, yes.
You can vote whatever you wish to vote relative to this application. If you would like time for us to write out a proper motion, we do have a meeting in two more weeks
Yes.
that you can vote on it then, once you've seen a motion, or we can attempt to craft it for you today.
I can,
Let's wait.
But I think the motion.
I'd like to attempt it.
Would you?
You boss, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd love to attempt it so I can get started on some
I
footings.
make a motion that we approve the application with the exception of removing the portico and maintaining the, and I know spindle design is that turned
Turn balusters.
balusters. But everything else is approved. Is that,
Where did we end up with the windows, changing the two windows for one upstairs?
Yeah, on the third
that's a
floor,
code
Yeah, that has to happen
he
for
has to
code.
do that
By code.
by code, yeah.
for
So
code,
we are okay with that.
for existing.
You want to read that back, and what did I just say?
Motion to approve the application with the exception of removing the portico and retaining the turn balusters on the front porch.
I'm good with that. I second.
Yeah,
Anyone want to second it?
yeah, I'll second. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Yeah.
Do we want to take a vote?
No, not yet.
You-
Can you add into the motion that the windows have to be the same grid pattern?
That's all written in the,
It's
it's already written in
the
there.
Oh, all right.
application.
Okay, cool.
So if we approve the application, it has that.
Before you vote on the application, I have one question of clarity to the applicant representative. Will the interior door shrink if they retain the portico?
No, they want to have the size of the front door the way it
So-
currently is
So
100 and,
you do want it to get larger, so you
But,
want to
yes.
request the increase. I just want to make sure everybody's clear about that. The front door will be increased to a larger size, but you're asking, not asking, you were
Just-
indicating that they would have to retain the portico.
Yes.
the overall size of the front door with the side lights will remain the same.
Okay.
The door itself will get larger and the side lights would
I got you.
shrink by like 2 inches on either side.
So I
But
wrote down the notes, I just want to make sure they are clear. that
yeah,
that's what
the
they're doing.
height, the width of the opening itself will maintain the same.
Right, the dimensions of the opening will remain the
Yes,
same. and
yes, correct,
the side lights will be reduced.
yes.
Now that you have to keep that, or are you going to have to do anything, do any replacements to that?
I can't hear you.
On
please.
the,
I asked
the
him,
portico.
now that he was going to have to keep the portico or vestibule, was he going, sorry.
Now that you want him to retain the vestibule or the portico, if he was going to have to make any repairs to that, so we can go ahead and include that in there.
oh, I definitely am gonna have to repair it because it's not gonna be right when we redo the porch. The porch is already fallen down, so it's not gonna even be tall enough, and it's
Yeah.
rotting at the bottom too.
Yeah.
So all that's gonna need worked on. I mean, there's no current door on the front of it. Some of the glass is broke.
So do you
So-
want it, and also, so do you want it rebuilt just like this, if we have to rebuild it? 'Cause we may have
It's
to rebuild
doable.
it.
No, I know
I
it's
had to
doable.
replace my deck, and I
Right.
kept the door.
No, I could cut the tree down out back and build it out of it, but everything's doable. It's just, at some
So
point,
we
the
can
homeowner
amend
doesn't
our
want it.
motion to say the portico shall remain and be repaired.
And he can propose as materials as he's proposed
For the door.
in the application. Is that correct? Are these the materials that you would be using as materials you've already proposed?
For the portico?
Well, there really isn't anything you'd be replacing in it.
I would probably just repair the bottom portion of it with like or kind material, I guess wood.
Don't
I
say
mean,
like.
so, but what's that?
Don't say like.
How about kind?
There you
How
go.
about
I was
eyebrow?
saying in kind.
In kind.
In kind.
So the molding in the bottom portion would be repaired with composite or wood?
Probably, I might put a piece of composite at the bottom just so it's not
We need to
weak
know.
in water.
we need
That's
to
why I
know-
was asking that, because I didn't want you to get started and have to,
Yeah.
you know
We
what I
need
mean,
know
have to
what
stop.
material in order to approve it.
All right, so I'm gonna modify the bottom of it if I have to keep it, which they don't wanna keep it, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with that, honestly. But, in order to pass this through, if I do have to keep it, I guess I would have to modify it with a piece of,
Can you speak up? Sorry.
I would have to modify it with a piece of probably trim around the bottom of it, which would be a composite.
So you'd maintain the design with those two,
All the glass panels and everything would be taken down completely, stored. We'll rebuild the entire front porch, and then we'll have to bring these panels back and try to refabricate and put them back together. And then whatever, this porch is in bad shape. So the porch
I
has,
understand
yeah, so you can't just let them sit there and float when you take out the whole bottom of the floor, the ceiling, the roof and everything. So they're
when
gonna
you
have to be
put it
taken
back,
down,
you
but I'm
will
gonna put them back.
maintain the design that's on the bottom of them.
I'm gonna maintain the whole thing. I'll have to
Okay.
save the panels and try to reuse them.
Okay. And I can see where the bottom is rotted. So you're just gonna be doing like a sectional under the bottom.
Right. Or adding to the bottom if it doesn't come in contact with the deck.
So we need to include that in our motion.
I have a proposed amendment for you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so your motion would be to approve the application with the exception of removing the portico or vestibule and to allow the necessary repairs to the portico/vestibule with in-kind materials, and would also allow for a composite trim material to be used at the bottom of the portico, but will maintain the design of the portico as is shown visually today, and retaining the turn balusters on the front porch.
That's what I said.
Yes.
Scott, I just wonder about the terminology remove, because we will have to remove it and then put it back.
Yes, it's
That's-
definitely going to be,
that's okay.
yeah, right, right.
That's
Yep.
okay.
That's why I got up there and tried to explain everything.
Okay.
Now, question before they vote. If the homeowners are adamant and want to fight this, they can appeal it.
You will have the right to appeal. It doesn't mean that your appeal would turn down the entire approval application. You can appeal a component of this vote.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
Katie, would it make sense or be possible to scrap that and just push this as an amendment or a separate vote on this? I'm not sure.
Again, it doesn't stop him moving forward. If the applicant,
So if we
property
approve
owner,
it conditionally, then
Yes.
they can still.
and they can
come
say,
back.
all we're
Okay.
appealing is your
Just that
component of the
specific
vote relative
component.
to the portico or vestibule component. Again, keep in mind, the town council's process is very clear, and I want to make sure, and we'll walk you through that too, your property owners. They are looking not whether it is right or financially feasible or anything of that nature. Did we follow our guidelines and process? So, but we will go through that with you
Right.
when we write this up tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm fine with all that. Like, I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be fine with everything, but it's not up to me. So I just want to, I know they were pretty adamant, they wanted to get rid of that, and I wanted to get rid of those pickets, so.
So, and
Well, those little,
again,
yeah, the benches will probably go by, but.
before you take votes, I just want to affirm the position of this board of what you feel about the portico vestibule, is you feel this is character defining to this property and the style of house that it is as a,
Colonial revival.
thank you, colonial revival.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question before we step in it. It's not,
I'm stepped in it.
can we, I mean, as we have amended this motion, are we within the guidelines of the new guidelines? So then if he appeals it, it's meaningless.
Well, the town council have the ability to review the entire record.
Correct.
And see if we did apply the guidelines appropriately.
Right. And that's what I'm asking you, are we within the guidelines?
Well,
Yes.
we as staff are recommending that we think this motion is within the guidelines. I just want to make you aware, town council has judgment as well, and they may interpret the guidelines slightly differently.
Interpretation is
That's-
subjective.
That is their
Right.
job and responsibility.
Right.
Okay.
But I would like to reiterate the motion that Katie, if you want to read that one last time.
Sure. Motion to approve the application. I should get to the
Yeah.
microphone. so people can
Let me-
hear me. So sorry. Motion to approve the application with the exception of removing the portico/vestibule and to allow the necessary repairs to the portico with in-kind materials, and would also allow for a composite trim material to be used at the bottom of the portico, but will maintain the design of the portico as is shown visually today, and retaining the turned balusters on the front porch. That is your motion. Your supporting rationale that you've articulated in our discussion points is that you feel that the portico vestibule is an essential character element of this style of house, which is a colonial revival. And that is within the guidelines. That is why you are looking to retain that feature.
I motion so.
Okay. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I think that's the toughest grilling you've ever had.
Man, I'll tell you what, my heart's pumping here.
You know, as many times as
Your
you,
heart's pumping, went to the owner.
Oh, I know, that's my heart, yeah, it's gonna get kicked right in my tail.
Okay.
Okay, this is 6F1. This is a totally new application for everyone. This application starts on 645 Mason Avenue. The applicant is Carrie Shackelford again from Ware Neck Properties. And MRCM Inc., as you can see, we do have two different ways that this is laid out. We have a current site information, and then we have a proposed site information. Because this application is a relocation of the two-story single-family home and accessory structure. The applicant is seeking to relocate the 721 square feet two-story single-family home with a 144 square feet open front porch with brick steps and a 90 square foot side porch, and the 280 square foot rear accessory structure from 645 Mason Avenue to 602 Washington Avenue. The two-story single-family home will be placed on a parge block foundation at the same height as the existing location, and the front porch will be retained, but the brick steps will be replaced with wood steps. A 5x5 covered side porch will be built using treated wood for framing, decking, and steps, a metal standing seam roof, and Richmond wood rails with square posts. Additional minor in-kind replacements include 5 window sashes that are fogged, damaged trim, and any needed replacements from the move. As you see, I have many existing pictures, an aerial map of where it is located today at 645 Mason Avenue, and the aerial map of 602 Washington Avenue.
And thank you for including the page with the guidelines.
Yes, you're welcome. We didn't want you to have to look for it, and as you can see, this is 10.1 relocation, and we did include that, and the applicant is here if you have any questions about anything he's trying to do once.
So nothing
move?
of the design of the house will be changed.
No,
Except
just
the steps.
steps.
Yeah, the side porch.
And the side porches.
I do have,
You do have questions? Okay, hold on. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Kerry Shackelford.
so in section 10, on the very first page, it said relocation should be the final alternative. Is this the only thing that could be done to this building?
If the lot is going to be used as the owners currently want to use it, it's the only thing that can be done. I
But
will.
That's not even in
let-
there.
Because they want to relocate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let
that's
me,
Threat to the building.
That's not
yeah.
even,
So let me sort of expand on that a little bit. If you'll notice in my narrative, it describes this house as historic only in its form because it has been butchered. There is nothing left of a historic building there. The only thing that's left is the form, the exterior shape of the building. It is on the contributing list, but would be easy to remove it. The DHR and the National Park Service has a form that when a building no longer is contributing, you can simply remove it from that list. It is really, unfortunately, really a poor or good example of how a building can be modernized to the point that it's no longer historic. There's not a historic piece of trim, siding, window, porch. Nothing on the exterior of this building is historic. Nothing on the inside is historic. So, yes, the building could be retained where it is at if the owners were not wishing to do something else. So I think they would have no trouble in getting that exemption. But again, these are all things that you have to consider. I'm
But
just giving
I
you.
see your question. It specifically says, is moving the building the only way to save it from demolition?
And I think they would get that exemption and demolish it at this point. They've fiddled with this for a year. And I think, but again, I can't predict what they will do.
And moving it will not affect the structure or stability of the
No,
home.
no.
If I may, Karen.
Sure,
Sorry.
sorry.
Just because I've had many conversations with the ultimate user of this property over the last year. Yes, I don't think there's any secret, we brought this to the Planning Commission as well, because this is in the CR district. And that required the Planning Commission to indicate if the proposed use would be acceptable under the CR district, and they have said yes, it would. It's proposed to be a bank. And when we first looked at this property, with that house there, the bank concept would not be viable. So we did look at all ways to potentially save this house, and relocation is the best option based upon the current property owner's intent of how they want to use the property. So I think Carrie is correct that if this then moved forward, if this was denied as is tonight for relocation of this house, then the next application that would be forthcoming would be a demolition of that house. So we do feel that this is an acceptable solution being presented to you. A piece of property was located. I have to say that location of an alternate property to put this on within the district has taken well over 9 months for us to, and I won't say us, but my working with the various realtors and property owners involved trying to find an alternate location was a challenge, candidly, but it's taken us that long to get this even before you. So this is actually a proposal that's been on the books for more than a year. We just didn't bring it forward till we had all the right puzzle pieces working together correctly, because we did not feel from the town's perspective and your staff that demolition of this property was really where it should go. If we could find it a new home, that was our preferred choice.
So in a sense, you do answer the question, is moving the building the only way to save it from demolition?
I feel yes,
Yeah.
and that's why I wanted to step
Yeah.
in and provide the background. Carrie may not have been aware of how long I've been involved, because you came in, I won't say late, but you were like in the 6th inning? I don't know.
I was in the first inning. You just didn't
Maybe you're in
know.
the 1st inning. So this has been, we've been at this project and trying to find all the right solutions to it, to see if it could work for the town, the property owner, and all parties involved.
And one question.
Yes.
Going from commercial residential to residential is no problem either, right?
Actually, no, because it's the CR, it's a commercial-residential
Yeah.
zoning district. So we allow residences to be there, we allow commercial properties to be there, we allow mixed commercial residential
Where it
uses
is
to
now.
occur. Yes,
But where it's going is residential.
yes, and the fact that it's gonna stay residential, that's how that building
Yeah,
was
yeah,
designed and
that's all it's
intended
been,
for, is
right?
residential. Yes, and that it's going on a lot.
The
It's
lot.
not the house that makes it residential.
Right, it's the lot. I'm just
It's the lot.
confirming that.
That's correct.
Okay, okay.
The
Okay.
number 2 in that section, it says structural integrity. It won't change the structural integrity of that framing?
That's what
No.
I was asked.
We've moved many structures, and this actually, the floor framing, everything below the first floor studs has already been replaced in a renovation from about 10 years ago. But, you know, what we do is we come in and we take out the foundation, and strategically, by putting holes in the block work, we run a piece of steel from front to back
Right.
that picks up the joist, because the joist will be running at right angles to that. Then we put pieces of steel at right angles to that long piece of steel, and that's where the wheels go, is on those pieces that are running at right angles. So it's 100% supported.
Okay,
It's really the same process we use if we're jacking or elevating a house.
Correct.
The only difference is that we put wheels on it.
correct.
So,
I have another question, I don't know if it really makes a difference. I see on the existing, there's a ramp there.
yeah, and it's not, you know, it's not an ADA ramp, it's not one of the previous owners had a dog that we think was geriatric in some form, because they have a dog door that comes off of that ramp.
Built the ramp for the dog.
I think so, yeah, because you come up the ramp and then you have a 8-inch rise step at the top of the ramp to get onto the porch.
So you're not gonna replace that?
I do not have any need to replace the ramp. It doesn't to me is not a factor, but I mean, it's not a deal breaker either if that's something that the board feels like needs to be there. The porch will be rebuilt in its same form, the side porch. It's just that what's there is a very poor piece of construction. So it'll look exactly like it does. It'll just be a solid piece of work instead of what it is now.
What
And
about
I think
the
it'll fit in well with,
foundation?
it'll fit in well with where it's going when you think of how you start from the beach down and coming the other way. They're gonna be very similar now.
Yeah.
And the middle's a little different, but
Right.
each end will be the same.
Yep. I'm sorry.
The foundation of the house, you know, the brick, like in the other house just down the street from it, is there the brick pillars there?
No.
No,
This,
it's all
this,
wood.
this house was elevated about 9 or 10 years ago, and so the foundation that's under it is completely brand new. All the framing under it is completely brand new. Again, I don't mean to point that out again, but it's a great example of where somebody said, oh, I'm gonna fix this house up, and changed it from historic to nothing remotely historic.
The only other question I have is, after you've moved the structure, are you going to clear the lot, or?
I have no responsibilities for the lot. The owner and I have an agreement that says they are to clean up the lot.
Okay.
But I will say that at this board meeting, I would not leave the lot in a disastrous condition.
Plus, there's new construction going.
Yeah, and I think the owners will also, the owners are very community-minded, and I believe they will do that. I think that'll also be part of the permit process.
It will be, and in fact, I actually have a preliminary plan already submitted from the proposed owners of the property, or I should say the intended eventual owners of the property for a bank. So that will be coming to you within the next 2 months or so with their whole concept plan for the bank proposal. So yes, we've been working on their site plan issues right now.
Cool.
Yes.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Someone want to make a motion?
You're shaking your head. No. Okay, I make a motion, we approve with the conditions that have been forelaid and certificate of appropriateness. Have we got anything?
What were the conditions?
I'll second.
Since there were no conditions, I make a motion, we approve it as is.
I forgot one thing. There was one other error. In the square footage is 1,152. I just want to be sure that's in the record correctly.
1152?
Yeah,
Okay.
instead of 720.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
That's it. I made the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Before you take final votes, if I may, and again, it's not conditional to your votes, I'm just putting it on the record, and Carrie is well aware of this. There are VDOT permits that will be required for the removal of a structure over VDOT roads. He will have to obtain all those permits and necessary insurance policies associated with that move under VDOT requirements. So just want to make you aware of that. He will also have to obtain a building permit for the move of this structure as well. And those are requirements he has to do regardless.
Yeah, but those, you monitor those.
Yes, I do.
Right.
Just putting it out so everybody's aware, since I know we have press coverage here this evening. I just want to get it all out on the record. Okay?
However, but your office is responsible.
We will monitor that.
That's what I asked.
So, do we want to vote? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
One opposed? Okay. I think that's our last application.
Yes, it is.
And, okay.
She gets her turn now.
And the final item of the evening is we did have a few minor exceptions that were approved by myself over the last month in December. So I've provided that list for you. If you have any questions on those, I'd be happy to answer as best as I may recall them. Now, we're into January. Other than that, we had nothing else to report for this month. I did want to make you aware we still have left our part-time compliance officer position is vacant. And I'm going to start working on a replacement staffing of that position here in the coming weeks. Okay? That's it.
Yeah, could you just bear with me a minute? Last night, a friend of mine was at a party, or New Year's Eve,
This is not a good beginning.
Now, this is an awareness thing, but I want to make a record, on record, that they said to my friend that they would rather pay the fine and not go through the Historic Review Board.
Common. I've heard that many times as well.
So, I mean, I don't know really how to interpret that statement other than the fact that it's all of us, your department, Tracy, and all of us on the board. But I find that quite offensive.
I think there's two parts to that. Number one, they don't want to go in front of the board because they think it's a pain. Number two, the fines are so little that they don't care, they'll pay them.
So,
I've still got basketball practice this evening.
are the fine schedules public?
Yes. And we have imposed these fines already.
And
They
been
became
increased.
effective July 1. They didn't increase. It was a new fine established July 1 by the town council per our request, because we felt that people were taking that very approach, saying,
Right.
well, you were issuing after-the-fact permits, there was no real harm to this, so let's do it this way.
Correct.
We have now imposed that fine, I think, three occasions, and I can't say it's all been met with enthusiasm to pay the fine. Candidly, people are surprised that we're actually imposing the fine that we are imposing. And
But, thank you.
There's really nothing more than we can do.
and there's nothing more we can do, and we do feel that is making a slight impact now that it's getting publicly known that there is a fine to be meted out in order to proceed forward on anything. Yes.
Thank you very much.
They don't only pay the fine, they also still have to pay the application cost and still come see you.
They still have to come. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that as the board continues to work, that people are seeing a change in the approach to the applications.
And we candidly have had response and feedback from prior applicants who were before this board over many years prior, who have now said our process is much cleaner, clearer, and direct, and they don't feel it is as strenuous or arduous to come to this board as it may have been in prior years. So I think we've made tremendous strides, both in our guidelines, our documentation, our applications, and getting them to this board, because our goal from a staff is to ensure your applications are as complete as possible, and ensuring that we have positioned things to get to a yes, not a no.
I think this helped immensely.
Yes.
That everybody can see it's clear as glass.
And your prior coordination, they seem to come with a kind of an appreciation of the benefits of why they're here, and not just an adversarial.
And that's
kind of
correct,
thing.
and we do pre-application meetings where we're walking them through the things that we have heard consistently from this board, your concerns and issues. I think today was a real representative. The items that you raised were not things that were new to the applicant, knowing that they would be raised today, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Tracy.
Adjourn the meeting?
Need a minute?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn.